It is I, Wacky Anime What If. I am back. I may not be able to upload tomorrow, so I figured I might as well upload another video today. What if Issei was betrayed and got sea monster powers Part 2? Okay, right where we left off previously. Issei was in a sea. The sea was dark, and above him was a sky full of storms, fog everywhere above the water, and the terrifying monster itself, the Leviathan, was rushing towards Issei, screaming, "If you cannot show me your will, I will tear you into shreds, and you will continuously come back here, and I will show you what true pain is." And Issei is very terrified, but screams out, "I will do anything so I can get my revenge." Their faces, their taunts, their kindness that I thought was for me was just an illusion. I will get my revenge, and I will do it my way. And he screamed it with his own resolve, which the Leviathan is shocked, and says, "Well then, show me your will." They begin clashing. Issei's in his boosted gear from his intense emotion. He's in his actual balance breaker. And they begin clashing. It's not even a fight. Leviathan just slaps him, and the gear just breaks. And he just goes all the way meters out of the water, and Leviathan just leaps out of the water and chomps Issei's arm off. The one with Drake. And Issei is screaming in pain, but doesn't let them stop him. Even without a sacred gear, he will fight, is what he screams on top of his lungs. As soon as he falls into the water, he looks around to see where the Leviathan is. He can't find it. It is hidden, and he's starting to get a little worried. But he tries to close his eyes and see if he can sense the motion of the water by just increasing the sensitivity of his skin. Because he read this in a certain book. It was martial arts techniques. Because he was interested at one point. It's called sensitary. It's when someone can sense when their eyes are closed. They close off one of their senses, and all the others are enhanced. But this was a big mistake, but also good at the same time. When he did this, all he could sense was his own pain and anguish. But he just kept on going through this, and sensed all around the water, and sensed that Leviathan was right underneath Issei. So Issei just tried to swim out of the way. Leviathan was far faster. Leviathan went up and chomped off Issei's left leg, which Issei is in pain, but once he sees Leviathan turn around from where it was and rush towards him, Issei just rushed towards it and had his fist out in anguish and anger, and barely avoided the jaws of the beast, and grabbed its eyeball and started punching it and punching it. And the Leviathan thought in its head, "This is going to be a worthy successor to our power. We will show the world that we are not dead with our successor, and we may rise again, or we may bring birth to the biggest monster, so that we will be known throughout all ages as the ones who have raised the end." Which Issei is still punching. Managed to punch her a little bit into the eyeball, which Leviathan says, "I guess this is enough playing. And Issei's shocked by this because of the thundering voice. And then all that happens is he gets tail slapped by the Leviathan's tail. And he gets sent flying meters into the deeper into the water. And then Leviathan starts swishing towards him. Zooms towards him. And just lets out a scream. And it was so loud that Issei's eardrums were bursting. They bursted. And then Leviathan was rushing in to bite off his other arm. But then Issei decided, you want to bite me? Well, you two can play at that. So he maneuvered up to where Leviathan was about to bite him. He literally swam a little bit upwards as quickly as possible, grabbed onto Leviathan's nose, went up towards where his eye was, and sunk his teeth right into Leviathan's eyeball. It screamed out in pain. Because the Leviathan's eyeball, yes, is very tough. But the thing is, he went to right where the pupil was in the eyeball. And he bit down until he heard a crunching sound in the eyeball, like he was crushing a part of it. And he laughed maniacally. The Leviathan then, with his tail, just slashed Issei with the tip of its tail. And Issei was cut in half, and then the Leviathan chomped down on him, ripping him to shreds. But then Issei just materialized above the water and fell back into the water. And Issei was like, I'm ready for round 2. He pulled out Drake, was about to try to go into Balance Breaker, but Balance Breaker didn't work anymore. And Leviathan said, we don't need you playing any petty tricks. I'll already tell you this. The first trial is the trial of the soul. Prove that your soul is stronger than me. And then I will give you your reward. You have to earn it. Which Issei screams out, then I will earn it, and I will make it my own. Your power will be mine. Leviathan smiles maniacally. And they start charging towards each other in the water. And Issei, after a few million years, he had 5 million years, and he was making progress. Rapid progress. The Leviathan was impressed. Because the Leviathan itself was massive, just so you know. And Issei is very small. But the thing is, this is a battle of souls, not an actual battle. Issei is actually dead, which he knows this. He's dead. His entire body is dead. That's not his body. It's a soul state. It's his soul clashing against the Leviathan's for superiority, which he is losing, but he wants the Leviathan. Because the first trial, he's already figured it out. Once he beats the Leviathan, then the Leviathan's soul merges with him. Or part of it does. Which he wants the power. He wants to be alive again so he can reenact his revenge against those who dare betray him. Those who dared mock him. Those who looked at him with disgust. He would drown them into their own sea of regrets. And this thought always was running through Issei's mind through the 5 million years. Not a single time did he let go of his will. Which Leviathan and Issei were at their final battle. Leviathan was charging towards Issei at rapid speeds to where usually no one could see it. Not even devils, angels, hell, not even Azazel would see this. Would see the Leviathan speed. But Issei was used to its pattern, so all he did was turn around and quickly maneuver to the side. Swim to the side, and Leviathan ran past him, or was trying to ram into him and chomp off a limb, but missed. And Issei was going on the offensive. he learned how to swim at high speeds. So he swam insanely fast before the Leviathan could do anything else, and latched onto its tail, and decided, I'm going to use the power of my own soul, which he was using. And he ripped off the Leviathan's tail, and used the tip that was very sharp as a weapon. And when the Leviathan came back charging and screaming, and said, this is what it means to be a true warrior. This is what it means to have your convictions, your very soul resonate with yourself. And for you to be able to enact your revenge, you need to do everything in your own power. Rip them apart, rip off their arms, use it against them. Use anything you can. And then you will finally get your revenge. This is the way you do it, Issei. Which Issei smiled maniacally, thinking about how he's going to use the Leviathan's tail. And think it would be quite ironic how he's going to plan to use it. Issei dodges goes upwards right when Leviathan was about to rush into him. And then he merely turned around really quickly, grabbed onto the Leviathan by its head. Well, actually right here to be specific, by the side of its head, and literally lunged the tail that had a very sharp tip at the end into the Leviathan's eye. It roared, and it tried to fling Issei off like how a person rides a mechanical bull, but Issei's grip strength was way too strong. This boy masturbated for most of his life. I'm just kidding. He did training, okay? That was just a joke. Maybe. Just kidding. Anyway, back to the story. So he was latching on for dear life. He pulled out the tail and decided to slash the other eye out. The Leviathan can't see anymore, but Issei wasn't paying attention to where it was going. It went to the bottom of the ocean and crashed into the floor, and Issei was crashed into it, vomiting, because he was rammed right into the ground, the bottom of the seafloor, and he was vomiting out his blood. He swears that when he looked down, he could see crushed raspberries where his side was supposed to be. Most of his entrails were coming out, but Issei would not let this stop him. He would not stop here. So he forcibly gets himself up. He puts his feet on the ground, the sea floor ground, and he roars a mighty roar, a battle cry. And he jumps from the sea floor all the way towards where the Leviathan is. Leviathan and Issei are charging at each other at rapid speeds, that even the ocean itself is rising up from the sheer impact, from the sheer force when they collide. Leviathan tries to eat Issei, but Issei instead maneuvers a little upwards, right to where the middle of the Leviathan is, between its eyes, and plunges right through, stabbing right through the middle of its eyes, and then jumping on top of the Leviathan and running alongside its back. And its tail is already inside of the Leviathan's forehead, and he's dragging it through. It's going all the way to the actual middle of the forehead, all the way downwards, and he's dragging it along the back. And when he's finally done and reached the end of where its tail was supposed to be, the Leviathan was cut into clean half. And then Issei laughed maniacally, saying, I will get my revenge, and you're just one stepping stone towards it. All I need is more power, and I will get everything that was taken from me. Nothing will stand in my way. Gods, devils, demons, fallen angels, it won't matter. They'll all end. And then before the Leviathan collapsed, reattached itself, Issei looked back and said, that's not fair. So he threw the Leviathan's tail right into the middle where the heart was still beating and trying to reattach itself. And then the tail pierces right through like a harpoon. And the heart that was pierced gets flung all the way to the bottom of the sea. And once it hits the seafloor, it goes through the seafloor. This is how strong Issei's very soul was. And Issei laughs, and the Leviathan finally died, but then it respawns. And the Leviathan says, "You have passed my trial, but do not expect the others to go as easy." And Issei said, "Easy? No, you were trying your best, weren't you?" And then Leviathan said, "If I tried my best, then you'd already be dead immediately, every single time, about every second, or even before you were to respawn back and fall back into the water, I would have immediately killed you, if I was trying my best." And Issei was like, "Aw, I kind of feel a little sad." Lets out a little smile. And Leviathan says, "You cheeky brat. Anyway, I will give you a part of my soul. And the things that you'll gain with this is, first, your soul will gain the ability to interact with physical objects temporarily until you get your body back." Which it imprints into Issei, and he says, "Also, you will have my speed and my stamina. Okay? You also have my defense. Speed, stamina, and defense. And you'll have one skill, but you won't be able to use that until you're completely in your own body, or until your body's remade." And then he says, "Wait, my body's gonna be what now?" And then he says, "No time to speak, your next trial has just begun." And Issei is teleported out, wondering what the hell the next trial was gonna be. He was not prepared for this. He ends up going straight from the sky. There was a portal when he was sucked up to the sky, away from Leviathan, and he was put into another domain. The domain which had numerous dragon heads. There were like 8 of them at first. And then Issei said, "Wait, is that the Hydra? But didn't they say they were sea monsters?" But this is the Lomoon, or I forgot the name of it. It's a Hydra that specializes in water. It's usually found in water. Which Issei was flung into the water. The atmosphere was similar. The entire area was similar to the Leviathan. It was just miles and miles and like billions of miles away from the Leviathan, because they have their own territories. So it was the same like the Leviathan's atmosphere and everything, except the water was completely pitch black. It wasn't blue anymore. And, Issei was kind of caught off guard by this. Issei swam upwards and saw not the Leviathan, but saw the Hydra with all 8 heads looking down at Issei. And the Hydra said, "This is your challenge. You have to defeat me. You may use your sacred gear. You may use anything that you find, anything to destroy me, at least once." And Issei smiles and says, "Then let's go ahead and get on to this, little Hydra." Or little Hydra. And Hydra was pissed by this comment, immediately shoots fire out of its heads, all 8 of its heads, towards Issei. Issei says, "Balance breaker," and immediately is in the water, swims away. And he says, "Balance breaker. Stage 2, Leviathan mode." And the balance breaker grows a fin on the back. The balance breaker's face changes, has very sharp teeth, where Issei's teeth were supposed to be. And the actual hands, there's claws coming out of the hands. Very razor sharp claws. And the feet itself have propellers at the bottom of it that shoot out wind. There's holes in the bottom of the feet that shoot out wind, making him go faster in momentum. He has Leviathan's power without Drake, but with Drake, each time there's a new trial that's completed, he gets a new form. And Drake was very shocked by this. And Drake can't really talk currently, because he doesn't want to disturb Issei's training. But Drake is very proud of Issei. Although Drake does think that him destroying every faction might lead to chaos. But if he makes a new faction, he's okay with it. He just has to make order. Because without any order, well, he'll doom the whole world. Because then Supernaturals will do whatever they want. So, yeah. Drake's thinking this while Issei's battling the Hydra. Well, I say battling, but mostly the Hydra's increasing the temperature in the water until it's unbearably hot for Issei. And Issei's like, wait, he's trying to cook me out. He's trying to fry my ass. And then Issei gets a really good idea. He decides to jump out of the water. Literally jump out of the water, which shocks the Hydra. The Hydra aims all 8 of its heads towards Issei. And then Issei, with the bottom of his foot, of his left foot, kicks the air. And then air flows out of the left foot and makes him fly up even more. And then Issei says, I'm going to use it now. My special ability. Claw Slash. Or the 1,000 Slashes. Which he ends up slashing every one of the heads clean off. But then he realizes he can't stop here. He has to rip the heart out of the Hydra. He has to dismember it completely to kill this beast. Which he's about to, but the Hydra regenerates all of its heads right when Issei was heading towards where its heart was, where its chest was. And boy was Issei pissed off. Because for about 10 million years, just so you know, it took him twice as long with the Leviathan. Like literally, it was 10 million years, not 5 million. Just took him 5 million years longer because Leviathan's annoying regeneration. Every time that he slashed all the heads off, they just regenerated back. This is a different Leviathan. And it's an evolved version. You have to literally slash all of its heads off, and you have to rip out its heart, which the Hydra even told Issei how to do this. Because the Hydra's very prideful about that. And he knows even if he does die, he'll just still be there. He'll just respawn. But anyway, so they're still fighting for 10 million years. And Issei is in his mind saying, motherfucker, every time I get all the heads off, try to go for the heart, I fuck up. Even if I do vice versa, try to go to the heart first, the heads will just bite me into pieces. Or I'll just be barbecued. So Issei is still contemplating a plan. For like 5 million of the years, he just contemplated a plan while fighting him. And then he thinks of one. And this one might work. So he, sees the Hydra, bops out of the water, says, let's fight again. I think I can beat you this time. The Hydra says, it's been 10 million years, and you've lost every time. I'm honestly very surprised with your conviction. Your willpower is very impressive, young one. Or should I say little Hyodo. And then Issei says, hey, little Hydra, you mind not talking shit until you win again? And then the Hydra says, oh, but I already won. And then Issei notices that there's only 7 heads there. One of the heads is right behind Issei, about to do a fireball. And he's like, this is still perfect. Closes the Hydra's mouth, because it's right up on him. Closes the Hydra's mouth, and the fireball goes into the throat, and is literally swallowing the fireball. It's going through his throat, back into the Hydra's body, and the Hydra's like, no, no, no. Wait, I can expel it with my other ones. Right when he was about to do that, he regrets taking his eyes off of Issei. Issei was holding on to the Hydra's 8th head and just propelled himself out of the water towards the Hydra at record-breaking speeds, which the Hydra didn't even notice that Issei was in front of him already. And Issei just wraps around the 8th Hydra's head around all 7 of the Hydra heads, all their necks wrapped around, made the 8th neck strangle the 7. And then when the Hydra was about to spit fire at Issei with all the rest of the heads on instinct, all Issei did was literally bash all of them together and, tighten the 8th head, making it to where the fireballs that were trying to go up couldn't go up, so they went back down, thus making the Hydra explode in fire. It basically killed itself. He didn't have to do anything, really. Which, Issei kind of thought, I'm such a dumbass, I didn't think about this in the first 5 million years, or maybe first million years. This is, so easy. And all of a sudden, the Hydra resurfaces, and says, congratulations, you managed to kill me. So you may take your prize. But after me, you have to go against, well, it's another fabled legend that you may have heard of. Actually, I believe he's more popular than me. But I think you'll meet him. And Issei says, well, if he's as charming as you, I don't really feel like I want to meet him. And they both chuckle and laugh. They've actually formed a bond. He formed a bond with Leviathan and Hydra. Which he kind of thinks of them as uncles or something. So, Hydra basically says, alright, so to reform your body, you must bathe in the blood of the Hydra. And Issei looks over to the corpse and says, so I have to... And he's like, yes. You have to get all the blood of the Hydra. Well, not all of it. Majority of it. Into this tub. Which, literally, there's this one island, which Issei usually relaxes at sometimes after training. So Issei puts all the blood of the Hydra, that most of it fell into the water, so it was mixed in the water, literally put it all into the tub, and then had to drag it, making sure none of it went back into the water. Had to drag that all the way to the island, which is about 785 miles away, which took him about a few years, which he doesn't age at all, because it doesn't affect your age. Your actual, maybe soul age or mental age, yes, but your physical age does not change. Which, it makes it all the way to the island. He goes in his little hut that he had. He always rested there, after they were done fighting. And he wanted some actual rest, because even though he's just a soul right now, if you don't rest, you do get extinguished. And he almost got extinguished while fighting the Hydra, because his very soul was too tired. But anyway, Issei dragged into the actual tub into the huts, and then he, unclothed, and laid into the actual Hydra blood, which it started burning. It hurt a lot. But the Hydra also, who was outside, said, if you get out of the Hydra blood in an incomplete state, you will not be able to go back and teach the people who have wronged you, who have looked at you with pure disgust. the people who betrayed your kindness and stomped it to the ground. You won't be able to pay them a visit and destroy them with your overwhelming power and show your superiority. Which Issei heard those words and felt those as motivation. So even though the blood was going to his very soul, burning into it, engraving itself in, and flesh was starting to form around Issei, and he started to feel slightly more alive, but intense pain. It felt like he was in the sun itself. He felt like he was getting baked from the inside. His soul was slowly burning. It felt like he was going to be incinerated, but his very willpower was keeping him alive. Every time it felt like he was going to burst into pieces, which it was going to burst him into pieces, and he would just burn up and burn to ashes. That's what happened to a normal person if they were bathing in Hydra's blood. But no, he went through all of this for 1.2 million years. It took that long to process the Hydra's blood and make Issei a new body. And the new body looked like this. Okay. So Issei finally got a body. He was about to put on his clothes, but the Hydra said, I left a new pair of clothes, which Issei was in a deep slumber the entire 1.2 million years, but still felt all the pain. So Hydra said, I left some clothes beside your old ones. And it was a jacket. A black jacket, and it was also a vest shirt. Well, not a vest shirt, but this shirt right here. See? This part. So he put those on. He put on some black jeans. He had shoes with a skull on the top of the shoe. And he said, also, I got you a little mask. Gave him this little skull mask right here. Which he knew that he'd keep this safe, mainly because he could use this when he's terrorizing the three factions. Mainly so they can't tell it's him. And he would just cover the rest of his face with something else. And Issei was grinning in his mind, and on the outside. Hydra saw him grinning, and even the Hydra itself was shivering. And the Hydra thought, I would hate to be the people that pissed that kid off. Which, as soon as he said this, we're going to go to Rias and her barrage. They all sneeze, and they're like, I wonder if someone was talking about us. And then we come back to Issei. So, Issei is about to go to his third trial, which there's all fog around. All he can see is fog, water, but he's on a ship this time. He was landed on a ship when he was falling from the sky, which she was kind of odded out, until he saw this towering figure over his boat. But you have to wait till next time to know who this figure is, and to know what happens later. For this is Part 2 of What If Issei Was Betrayed and Got Sea Monster Powers. Part 2. Until Part 3, you won't really know. But anyway, goodbye, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day. I'm definitely not, but that's not the matter. So, bye.